Hey, how's it going? It's Grant with the Garden of Eater.
And Shelby.
And today we're going to talk about everything shrimp, moss, and ferns, and also go over a couple of giveaways. To start it off, I've got a little kind of contest in rotation, and we'll bring up that picture here in just a second after I talk about a few things. But I've got a $100 credit on the line, and nobody has gotten the right answer yet. You can take as many guesses as you want, so we'll go over that here in a little bit. But we're also going over a couple other giveaways that we got in the future. We're going to go over what we're doing this weekend with Aquaticon in Knoxville, Tennessee. We also got some new stuff going on with the stand. We also got a little debate going on about the new stand, and then new lights, new shrimp, new issues with algae and stuff like that we'll be going over on our Wednesday live stream, which is going to be probably 10 o'clock with Chance and Brian, Shelby, and myself. That's Team Florida Aquascape going in and answering all of your hard questions. So quite a list of things to go over, but if you want to bring up the picture, we'll start it off with the $100 giveaway contest.
You don't want to say hi to anyone first?
What's up, Crypt Keepers? How's it going, Mason? Hey, Jamie, GK Aquatics. How's everyone doing tonight? Thank you all for joining us.
Hey, guys. Which one? This one?
Yeah, that one.
Hold on. It's not up yet.
So we've gotten quite a few guesses on Instagram and Facebook. However, nobody has gotten the right answer. A couple of really close guesses, and then a couple of really, really far off wild ones out there. But those might be from people who know the exact answer. And I got a hunch that the Bigs probably knows exactly what they are, but wants to let everybody else compete and knows I can't ship anything to Canada anyways. And if he came down here, he could probably just take whatever he wanted. If he was willing to bring it up across the northern border, I'd say I got some shrimp that way. So I'd be all for it if the Bigs wanted to stop by and grab some. But
hey, Brian.
Yeah. So basically the rules of the contest are guess what laid these eggs, and the first person to get it right will win a $100 credit to our website, tgoeshrimp.com. You could use it for shrimp, plants, snails, quite a few different things. You can hold on to it for when you got a tank ready or whatever you want to do with it. You can give it away even. But if anybody can guess, feel free to guess in chat. I might have to go back and read through the chat and see if there's like a lot of guesses or something like that I missed. However, there's like over 100 different guesses on Instagram and Facebook, and nobody's gotten it right so far. So take as many guesses as you want. It's just the first person to get it right, they'll get the $100 credit. And then the next giveaway that we're going to talk about is our Instagram is almost to 2K followers. So when we reach 2K, we're going to go ahead and give out a $100 credit over there as well. I'll do some kind of guessing game, like guess how many tanks we currently have running in the house. And the first person to get it right will win a $100 credit on Instagram. And then also, and that's only 100 followers or less away on Instagram. And then on our YouTube, we are less than 200 away from 3,000. So when we hit 3,000 on here, we're also going to do a live stream, and we'll give away a $100 credit on here as well. So stay tuned for that. And then on Facebook, we are less than 250 away from 4,000 followers on there. So each one of those will have a $100 credit. So if you're not following us on one or the other, make sure to follow us on all the platforms. We do kind of post different things on each one. We don't just post the same thing on every single platform all the time. So it is worth following us on all of them. And especially for sales, sometimes we post sales on just one of the platforms and not all of them. So definitely follow us on each one of those. And if anybody has any right answers, I'll surely stop. But it's not shrimp eggs. It's not rice fish. It's not pygmy cories. It's not snail eggs. All of those have been already taken. Koi, goldfish, those are all ones that everybody's guessed, but not a single right answer so far. So how's it going, Sandy? How's it going,
Hey, Sandy.
Victor? Max, how's it going? Thank you for joining your first live stream. Thank you for stopping by. And then how's it going, Mr. Bloomfield, Robert? I got a buddy going to Greater Washington Society to do a talk on plants, and I'm jealous because I'd stop by your place. But it's not isopod eggs either. It's not scud eggs. It's great. So is it not any snail or any shrimp? Nope, no snail or any shrimp. I'm not really looking for like a specific like species or anything like that. I'm just looking for what laid these eggs. So we didn't miss any questions, did we? I think the chat kind of went on. No. All right. So we'll just kind of leave that on the screen for a while, and I'll go over a couple of different things. We are getting ready for Aquaticon. That is Saturday in Knoxville, Tennessee. It is a one-day event. We've got 2 booths now, or 2 tables. I'm not sure how exactly the setup's going to be, but they did reach out to us, and LRB sadly is not going to make it. But that kind of changes things around for me. I normally don't bring like bulbitis to shows. He does. I like to hoard all my bulbitis. And Shelby's like, no, we need to sell it. We need to sell it. Get rid of it. And I'm like, okay, we can get rid of some, I guess. So I do have some of it put away. I was going to save a lot more than I was going to, but now that LRB won't be there, we'll be bringing quite a bit of bulbitis, some narrow leaf Java fern, normal Java fern, small amount of guppy grass. For whatever reason, like the last cold that we had really killed off all of our guppy grass, and it just hasn't grown back to the amount. Like I'm hoping by the time in Aquashella, Dallas, we've got just bags and bags and bags. Mason knows when we show up to the fish club meetings with our guppy grass, we come loaded. So it's just a matter of time before the ponds are fully stocked and booming again. But we'll have some guppy grass, some moss, not as much moss as I'd like with the live stream that I did with Alex, the unboxing video he did for us, the video that Ryan Kinley with my wild fish tanks also did a video, and the coupon codes from all of those sales have been quite higher than normal, and a lot of people have been buying the moss. So we just sold out a hooker moss today. So I'm sorry, anybody needing some hookers, they're going to be off the list for quite some time. But we'll have the normal Christmas moss, weeping, spiky, and a load of Java moss and Taiwan moss. So what we're doing to prepare those is we've got all these empty tanks behind us. If you guys notice, we do have a new live drop. This is the new rack. It is 110-gallon aquariums. We've got some Anubis, some Bucephalidandra floating in the tanks already. Those are tanks that are old substrate. The tanks up here are all brand new. I think that entire row is Brightwell. Almost all the way until the end. And we're doing a bunch of different experiments. I'm really excited for this rack. Shelby's got some ideas that she wants to do, and I'm saying, no, let's stick to this. So we're going to do like test tanks. We'll do 2 of the same types of shrimp, do everything exactly the same, except for like Shelby wants to do less water changes on a couple tanks, and I want to feed more. She wants to feed less. I want to feed more varieties. She wants to feed less varieties. So there's a couple different things that we want to do that we really didn't have enough room, space, or time really to do all those different kind of tests. So we're going through there. But basically, like the ferns all have a tank. We separated them all out. I know there's no moss or anything woven in. And some of them have got moss growing on the rhizome. You can't avoid that. But it's not frogs either. Sorry, I'm going through comments very slightly. It's not neon dwarf rainbows, but we do have the bulbitis and ferns separated. Now we're going to go through the moss, and we'll take a big clump of the moss, and we'll throw it into one of the new tanks. And any of the baby shrimp that are caught up in there, they've got an extra day or 2 to be shooken out of there, and they'll be fine in the new tanks. Very low bio load, and all the ammonia is already leached out. They've been running for a week and a half now, at least, maybe 2 weeks. I'm not sure, but
wow.
We also have, you can't see in this top tank, but if you do see like a little thing swimming around, we had these tanks in the garage for months with maybe an inch of water on top of the substrate. and some of them had some critters still living inside of them. One of Shelby's Achilles fish must have bred in the moss, and then when we took the moss out of there, it fell out and was living in the tank for months without water changes, food, or anything. So it is doing all right, and then now recycling tank. And then we also found a tank with 4 Stardust shrimp still living alive. And that was one of the tanks that I got from Steven Ramirez down in South Florida. And we transferred those tanks, just left the tanks in the garage, and some of the shrimp made it. Even though we left the shrimp tanks on the floor for like 2-3 weeks before I put them in the garage, going through it with a flashlight. So these must have been like super tiny babies, because they're like still juveniles now. They're not large ones by any means. And then the shrimp, we got to get ready. We're going to bring mostly Karadina, but we're going to bring some Tangerine Tigers. And if anybody has any pre-orders or anything like that for Karadina, let us know. I'd be happy to pack those up, but I won't be bringing much of any Karadina with us. So want to bring up some questions?
Yeah. Just waiting for you to stop talking.
Sorry, there's so much and only
Hi,
an hour
Jeff.
time.
And then, okay, so Jamie asked, what kind of pH testers do you guys recommend if you do use them?
I'll let you handle it.
Well,
you do all the pH testing.
I like it's the API test kit from like any Petco or pet supermarket. I enjoyed it. It's easy, 3 drops to the water, not a problem. Never had inconsistencies with multiple tanks at once. We're testing each one of them, and they all seem to read the same. But we do plan on probably doing a video of all the test kits there are. I haven't really tested any other ones. So we did have, I think, an Elos pH test kit, which was the same. So it was
the Elos test kit did not.
Close.
We only got a GH test kit. I don't think we got the pH. And the GH kit was rating double.
The GH and KH were wrong for sure.
So
felt like I was doing it wrong.
We also got a Fluval test kit and a Sierra test kit. So I plan on doing like a little testing royale with all of the different kind of test kits that we can get our hands on. I know there's other brands like JBJ and stuff like that, but I like to get the brands that are available to our local pet stores.
All right. Oh.
What?
We'll get to that in just a second.
It's not Splash Tetras. Thank you, Jamie, for recommending to hit that like button. I appreciate it. And it's not CPDs or Rasporas.
No. But thanks, Sandy. We do have Tangerine Tigers. That'll probably be the only thing we bring up north too. But you are in Florida. Yeah, they should breed in hard water.
We actually have 1 tank of Stevens Tangerine Tigers that are breeding in our tap water right now. We have a tank of ours in the hallway that has been breeding on leftover Neo water from our other tanks that we always use for that tank. It's like my oldest 88 tank, my very first Karadina tank. The pH has expired on it basically, so we've been breeding Tangerine Tigers in harder water. The thing is, they breed super slow in harder water. They grow super slow compared to what they breed in Karadina parameters. They just breed and grow a little bit quicker. Not by much. They're still Tangerine Tigers. They're still tanks. They still breed faster than most Karadina out there. So,
hi, Leo. Hi, Frank.
How's it going, Mr. Nugent? I'm not sure how to pronounce your first name. I'm sorry.
All right. Leo said, what's your best Karadina shrimp? You want to set up a 5-gallon spec with Brightwell plant substrate, debating if the Cafe or the Rio Oscuro.
So Tigers, for sure, the Tangerine Tigers that I just mentioned are the most hardy Karadina shrimp out there. However, if you want something more on the B spectrum, you're going to go for, I'm sorry, now that he can't make it in. We're all blocked off in our new spot. He can't unplug the internet. No more technical difficulties that we can blame on him anyways. It'll all be our own fault from now on. So, but for the Karadina, the B side, crystal shrimp are super hardy and stuff like that. But what I recommend are getting Michelins, simply for the fact because if you're doing everything right, you're going to get babies, of course. But if you're doing everything perfect, you won't just get crystal shrimp babies, you'll get Taiwan bee babies as well. And that's just like kind of the reward and lowering your risk factor. You can get $4 shrimp and have a chance of the babies being, $10 or $15 Taiwan bees instead of having to buy the $10 Taiwan bees and then testing them out in your tanks and then not doing well. So if you can breed the Michelins and you're getting crystals to breed, you're doing all right. But if you get Taiwan bees to pop out as well and survive past juveniles, then you are good enough to breed boas or whatever kind of shrimp you want to get. So I highly recommend starting out with Michelins if you want for Caradinas on the bee side. However, if you just want to dip your toes into Caradina at all, Tangerine Tigers is where it's at. I tell everybody, you kill Tangerine Tigers, there's something wrong with your water altogether. You probably killed the Neos as well. So maybe your tank wasn't cycled enough. Maybe there wasn't enough biofilm in the tank or something like that. But definitely Tangerine Tigers or Michelins.
A lot of people suggested PRLs too. That's a good beginner for a lot of people. I don't know why, but works out for some people. And the substrate, debating on Cafe or Rio, it would depend on the shrimp, but usually you want to go with the Rio because it's darker. They're going to go on the darker substrate. That's the one we prefer, but Cafe is pretty for aquascaping.
Like if you're doing like brown for the Cafe though, it'd also do well for orange eye black tigers or royal blue tigers or something like that kind of disappear on the black substrate. But the black is going to be like 0.2% or 0.2 lower on the pH on average.
Okay, so drum roll.
Okay.
Got to do a drum roll.
Why? Oh man, you got it right.
Out of 100 people.
I think you guessed already, but yes, that is completely right. I had a sack of eggs laid in the shrimp net of the Black Rose pond outside. I went to remove the egg sack off of the net, and basically all of the webbing stuck to the net. And when I ripped it off, all the eggs came out. And I was like, what? And they all kind of looked like little shrimp eggs or something like that. And yeah, they definitely got a good picture. And I thought that would go around. And then Robert, so bring up the ghost bee.
Oh, okay.
I had a surprise for you tonight if you were in the chat as well. I posted this. This tank is like packed now with zebra ghost bees. So if you wanted to use your $100 credit for some zebra ghost bees, I haven't added them to the website yet. You, of course, get first dibs on them. And yeah, we could use your credit towards some of those if you want. So, oh man, congratulations. I was hoping to like get future people to like participate. You ended it really early in the stream. What are we? I can't see it right now. She's got so many pop-ups going on.
I'm so sorry.
If the wife would like some zebra ghost bees, I think they were for Ray. I'm not sure. But if they were,
there we go.
Oh, I thought it was already up on the screen.
No.
Oh man, see,
I'm struggling.
Yeah, but this isn't the only one. This is just posing. Took a picture of it like 10 minutes before the stream. So, or not 10 minutes, like right when I posted the picture for today. It wasn't before the stream, but yeah, congratulations, man. And I've got plenty of these now in the tank. And depending on how many you take off of me, these should be one of the next shrimp that we're going to post up on the website. I just got to get a better picture of one of the juveniles because I don't want to post buried shrimp on the website. And then people think that they're going to be buying buried ones. So.
All right.
But I have a great one to do later on next year for April. April Fools is going to be great next year. I don't know why I didn't think of it. We're like 30 days, 25 days late.
We definitely can share some Tangerine Tigers. Sandy just messaged us. Got plenty in a tank in our son's room. It's booming. All right.
We actually have 3 tanks of Tangerine Tigers, and a fourth tank that we are saving for outside.
Right. The one in our son's room is my favorite, and it's always packed. I think I have a TikTok of it. It's pretty funny. How much water change for 10 gallons?
So we recommend 10 to 20% every week, or 20 to 40% every other week. And you could do more. More is not going to hurt, but at least do 10% every week.
All right. Crypt Keeper asks, are there any Karadina shrimp that look similar to an orange Rilly shrimp where it is wide white and orange stripe?
Yellow, but not really orange. The yellow King Kongs will produce a Rilly variant, and some of them kind of look a little orange in color, but they're yellow. So that's going to be the closest.
I think some Tigers look like that.
Nah, not with
Yes,
the. Nah,
orange.
not really.
It's brown.
So, but in the future, there could be. It's just not right now. Yellow King Kong Rillies are going to be your closest bet.
Jamie said our dog barked and Boston Terrier went running. It's okay. So across the street, we have these little Chihuahuas, and they are very territorial. They come out barking and like act like they're big old dogs. And our dog is usually standing in the doorway, just like jacked up because it's a big dog and doesn't even phase him. Like no dogs phase him. He just looks at him like, "Are you crazy? I can eat you."
Every now and then, one of the neighborhood kids gets too close to the door too quickly, and Shrimp moves too fast. I'm like, huh, what are you doing, dude? He's a kid. But he wouldn't hurt him. Just standing his ground.
So Brightwell Soil, how long does it last for?
I've got some tanks that are going like 4 to 5 years strong now, and they are still doing really well, breeding shrimp, no issues. And it really depends what you add into your water, how often you're touching your substrate and stuff like that. But the granule size, if you buy like the larger size granules, over the years, they'll get smaller and smaller and smaller as they are break down. And for the Brightwell substrate, they really hold up. And I'm quite surprised. That's why for the new rack, I did almost an entire row. If not, we did an entire row with just Brightwell substrate. And the other substrates that we're going to try and stuff like that, I've got my doubts. But for consistency on pH and everything like that, the only thing as good as it is the original ADA, and you can't get your hands on that anymore. So I highly recommend the Brightwell substrate, but I haven't tried the UNS or the the new Oliver Knott soil. I haven't tried Tropica soil, but those are all ones I want to get my hands on.
I would say with the Brightwell, because they do offer other substrates than just the Rio and everything. They do laterites and stuff. I would stay away from the laterite clay. We have not had some good tanks with that, so I would just stay away from that.
It raises the pH over time and slowly leaches up.
That's great for plants. So if you just want strictly plants in it, it does phenomenal. And if you want like a hardier shrimp, will probably be good in there, but don't put soft water Karadina.
It's great for like the first year or two, but then slowly the roots and everything, it just mixes in too much.
Jamie said I would have burned the container with the shrimp eggs or the spider eggs.
Oh.
We keep spiders in our house. We're weird. As long as they don't come out.
Yeah.
If they come out, you're dead. You think Tangerine Tigers would do good outside in vat?
I think if any Karadina are going to do all right outside, it's going to be those, or maybe possibly like cheetahs or raccoons. But my money is on the Tangerine Tigers. I actually have a vat, and like the most important thing is it doesn't get any western sun, so it's completely shaded during the hottest time of the day. So it shouldn't get too hot. It'll get some morning sun, but it's still like completely shaded on that side of the house. So I think they'll do all right. And timing is everything. Like we could have done it a month ago, and then we got that one random cold front. I wanted to get them done like a weekend or two ago, but every time I want to get it done, there's been paint on my hands. So I just don't want to acclimate and catch shrimp and remove an entire colony and everything with chemicals on the hands. So I kind of put it back, and then the turtles took priority. Today we went through and got all of the old Brightwell substrate and all of the green jades out of the old 500-gallon vat. The diamond terrapins now have made that home, and I'm going to go through and throw in like the nicest of nice blue dreams into there. And those are going to be a lot easier to see on the lack of substrate and catch and maneuver when I'm siphoning up the turtles' waste and stuff like that. So Tangerine Tigers, they have a good go.
Hi, Liquid Zoo.
Hey, Matt. How's it going, man? Glad you can make it.
Every time shrimp barks, my dogs go crazy.
I'm sorry. Anytime your dog barks, he would do nothing. He would have no idea your dogs would even do anything. If it wasn't for Thea, he wouldn't wake up half the day.
No. He's lucky he has his sister. Hey, Joseph.
How's it going, Joseph Stanley? Nice of you to join us tonight. We are halfway through the marker, but still plenty of topic to talk about. Not a lot of shrimp questions, no fern or moss questions tonight. Everybody must have watched our aquatic guide to growing moss.
All right. How about ADA soil? How long does it last? You kind of talked about this already. Is it good for shrimp or anything bad about it?
I could touch up on it a little bit more. The original version of the substrate, back when Amano was alive and ran the company, they really went the extra mile to make sure quality was on top of everything. Everything was made in Germany. Supposedly their substrate was farmed from these certain rice fields on the side of a mountain that they no longer have access to anymore. Either it's all used up and they didn't want to or they didn't want to pay to release or something like that, but they're getting it from a different source and it's no longer the same stuff. And like there's a breeder in South Florida, Plamsky, who went through the version 2 and went to mud, and he had a lot of issues with his shrimp. So I've heard that the newest version out right now is all right, but like I don't think many people have had enough time to test it past 6 months to a year. A lot of people say that Fluval isn't good past 6 months to a year. That's why we're testing some of that out. I'll also be testing out some of the C-Chem, and that's also known not to last that long. So maybe it's user error, maybe it's micro minerals and something that we're not testing in the water that's having issues from one state to another. But it's just like a lot of it has to do with where the bags are stored. I know if any of the bags get like a little tiny pinhole, what can happen is the whole bag will dry up and then the soil will become brittle and start to break down, and that's why it turns to mud. But, you know, if you're getting fresh bags and that's still happening up to you, maybe it's just the substrate isn't as high quality. It wasn't refined and baked and rolled as well as some of the other brands out there. So I'm not nagging on ADA or anything like that. Their original substrate is still like one of my all-time favorites, but I haven't heard enough of the good substrate reviews out there to go and recommend it to anybody out there. So how's it going, New Local Austin?
How you doing?
Yeah, we should have a video. I told Shelby she's got to show her face when she hits 1,000 followers on TikTok, and she's crushed that already. And so her next video is of her cleaning out the turtle pond outside, and it's a really nice pond set up for our turtles. We have the ultimate pond and pool set up for the adults, but they're not even yearlings yet. They're still like 8, 9, 10 months old. I'm not sure exactly, but
they're older than that.
I don't think, no, because they took like 56 days just for them to hatch. So, and they haven't even, it's not even turtle laying season until, so it's not quite a year. I think they're like 10 months old, but they're like 6 inches, and I can't put them out with the other ones until they're all 6 inches. And we only have one that's 6 inches. So the rest need to catch up. And we sexed them today. We have 4 females, 1 male, which is like perfect for me. I kind of wanted to make sure I kept 1 male, but I did want all females. I know the rules and laws in Florida kind of suck, but who knows? We might be moving to Texas. No, sorry, not moving to Texas. But if they change the laws and everything gets crazy in Florida, why would we stay here? Texas has like the best Florida, or not Florida.
It's
laws.
cold.
Not in Texas.
Don't talk to me.
It only froze and had that ice storm once every 100 years.
Cold.
We are good until medicine gets us to live longer.
Your knees hurt when it's 70 degrees out, and he's thinking about going up there. No.
It's not up there. It's just over.
It's up.
It's a little up.
It's up. I can't pronounce your name, so I'm going to put it up and say hello.
It's Techno.
Not even going to try.
Allah.
All right. So Joseph has a shrimp question. So I love doing shrimp in my tubs outside for summer, but I've been having so many Scuds. They make it difficult for shrimp and egg scattering fish. What do you say?
You got to tear it down and start over, man. That's probably the best way, because I don't see you being able to catch the Scuds without like a viewable window. For me, we were able to remove the Scuds out of a couple tanks. Like when we very first started, like right behind me, I had a 55-gallon tank. We bought it from a local breeder, and I was buying plants from our local club, and didn't really mind what was going in the tanks. Didn't know about Hydra, Planaria, Scuds, any of that. And then I just saw them swimming around and stuff like that. I associated them with like a Daphnia and seed shrimp, and didn't think anything of it. And then found out later on that they actually get pregnant, have babies, and then crave protein. And then that's when they go after the baby shrimp and can devour 30 babies in no time. So definitely want to keep them out of the shrimp tanks, but removing them without, putting fish in the tank that are going to completely devour all of the shrimp as well. And like I've had some very vicious cichlids out in the ponds, some Julie chromas, or no, what are they? Tanganicans. And they didn't eat all the Scuds. And so I don't know what could possibly get them all. Not even the mosquito fish got all the Scuds out. And those things devour everything. So probably want to start from scratch. And the plant thing, you can dip them in no planaria for like do triple the dosage that you normally would, and you let them soak for 5 to 10 days until you stop seeing anything moving around, and then really rinse off the plants. But you could keep a light on it too, but you want to avoid the light. It will dissolve the no planaria, but the water will become really toxic after the first day or two to kill the Scuds. So definitely want to try and get them out of there if possible.
All right.
It's going to be a task, man. I'm sorry.
5 gallons or 10 gallons for breeding tank?
Highly recommend no less than 10 gallons. Anything less than 10, we get slow growth, slower breeding, or less breeding at all. So I always tell people, you have fish, smaller tank or something like that. If you would get with perfect setup, you get 10 batches of babies every year off of a female. You add fish to the tank, you go smaller, you do less water changes and stuff like that. You're asking for less and less batches of babies. So highly recommend at least 10 gallons. Go big, bigger if you can, for sure.
Our 55-gallon tanks do really well too, but obviously for more room, you would want to do 10 gallons. 20s are just a waste of space to me. If you're going to go big. So
it depends where the blueprint is. Like some 20s would be nice right here instead of the 30s. We would have room for 20-gallon talls, not room for 20-gallon longs. For your fish, you'd like them.
Plant rack
With 2 scape tanks.
Mm-hmm. And I keep trying to move it closer. What are some ideas we could use instead of active substrate to buffer pH down?
So this is kind of like also a substrate, but there's a Karadina. It is a bonsai soil. It is like $40 if you can find it for a 15-liter bag, and then they're going to charge shipping for it. I'm going to buy 2 bags and do 3 or 4 tanks up on the top here and test that out. Then the only other way and I legit do not know a single person out there that has ever done this successfully, is by taking peat moss and lowering the pH that way. Tons of botanicals and driftwood and stuff like that too. But I don't know anybody that's had success using peat moss. Every single Karadina shrimp breeder that I know uses active substrate, and you have to use RO water with 0 KH minerals, or else you're not going to be able to get that pH down. There's one guy, dang, Ted Judy, man, there's like Ted Bundy and all these other people that are famous. I'm like, all these names get mixed up in my head. I don't want to give like Ted Bundy the credit for Ted Judy's work. So I always got to think
Pretty
hard
sure
on that
it's not Ted Bundy.
No, I don't know, man. I get my names mixed up. But anyways, he used to have like a shrimp operation where he was using amuric acid, and he wasn't having the success that he wanted to keep the operation going. And he wasn't breeding either. I think he was just keeping the pH of the bare bottom tanks down so that way he could keep the shrimp alive and move them out to sell them as fast as possible. But I highly recommend active substrate and RO water to get your pH down.
And on the same subject, said, have you used any peat to buffer water to help extend soil buffer life?
I haven't, just because of the tannins. It's gonna, for the amount of peat that you need to lower the pH, the tannins are going to be so dark in your water that it's going to be hard to see shrimp. It's going to be hard to grade, cull, and stuff like that. You know, some of these white opaque shrimp, they're going to be really hard to tell if it's brown or if it's white in a black water tank. So definitely, I haven't used it at all. I've put a little peat moss out in the koi pond to try and soften the water for them, but they bred without it. So.
All right, Leo asks, so would the shadow Misuras look better in black or the brown substrate?
Shout out Nico Rico for teaching me how to say Missoura. I can only say it with a French accent. Missoura. Yeah, Missoura. I don't know. But anyways, I think they look better on black just because like you can have the blue pigment for the majority of the shrimp, and then just the head is black. So they still look good on brown, but the blue tends to fade a little bit on the brown. Even the blue bolts, I like to keep those on a black. They look a little bit darker when you throw them on black. The Karadina shrimp, don't have the whole camouflage to them as much, but I definitely noticed a little bit with the green tigers and the Aurora blue tigers and blue bolts and stuff like that. They look a little bit darker on the blue substrate. And it's definitely to do black substrate, and it's definitely to do with like some kind of camouflage reaction that they're having, because you throw them in an empty container and they definitely look a lot worse, even if you have the right water cycling through.
I know the Misuras, the blue part, like you were saying, they kind of look lighter on the brown and then darken up real nice on the black, and it could be the same exact shrimp. So I vote black as well. Joseph is in Texas. No thanks.
Yeah, I got Ruben in Texas too. So
I mean, it's not like we'd be lonely. I got family in Texas. It's just if we're gonna move anywhere, it's gonna be south and more inland, maybe, not north.
No, you want Diamondback terrapin territory, right smack dab
go to
on
Puerto
the water.
Rico, then.
50 acres of sanctuary for Diamondback terrapins, and all we do is trap raccoons. That's the retirement plan.
We just become turtle man. That's what I imagine. All right, Max asked, are you trying Karadina soil on your new rack?
I don't know how far behind we are on the chat. But
quite far.
Yeah.
You overtalk a little bit, but yes.
I'm not known for
that. It does get cold in Texas. Get out of here. What air pump is good for 10 tanks?
Stay South Texas. See, it gets cold in North Florida.
Oh,
just
stay
like
South
yeah.
Texas.
So you're not reading.
It still
she does
snows
that.
in northern Florida.
She took exactly what she wanted out of that context and just went with it. And then I'm like, there's something else there. She saw my eyes reading, and she had to save herself.
You get cold here. He
I
complains
get cold
about
in
the cold
Hawaii.
here.
I get
We're
cold.
done.
I get cold when you leave the windows down. I don't know why. Bake me. That's where.
It needs
where I
to be
belong.
99 degrees always.
Unless I'm playing paintball.
But it didn't answer the question. What air pump is good for 10 tanks?
10 tanks is a tricky one because like the Elita 15 is the smallest that they go. Maybe they do an Elita 6. I would get an Elita 6 because if you wanted to go like 12 tanks.
What did we run our 10 tanks off of? We had
an Elita
little
15.
small.
It was overkill.
Oh.
Yeah, they have an Elita 6. It's kind of loud, but you can put a little silence thing on the intake, and it'll make it nice and quiet. And it's also like an air filter too, so it's a bonus. It's only like an extra $14. It is an expensive air pump for me to be recommending, but they are solid. Like we had one going for 6 years, ran constant, never unplugged except for like turned off during the hurricane, of course. But like that was it. So it thing ran like a tank before we had any issues. And then like we can have that debate right now. I think that the manifold just needs to be replaced on the old Elita, and it'll be fine. She thinks that the motor's fried, but
literally burn
I say
marks
send it
on the motor.
Run it outside.
It's done.
Run it outside.
You're lucky it didn't
we'll set
light
up
our
like a
whole
little
house on
umbrella
fire.
on top of the Elita, and we'll run
No.
another 40 ponds.
He just wants to burn the house down. I just don't get it.
No. We did buy a new one though, so I'm not experimenting with anything flammable yet.
What's a good number to start with the Spec 5 and best way to cycle the tank for them?
We always recommend at least 1 to 2 shrimp per gallon. The more the better. If it's only a 5-gallon tank, I assume the Spec 5. And I would say, get at least 10 shrimp to start out with. And if you can get 20, go ahead and do 20. I highly recommend getting all the shrimp you want from one breeder all at one time, sending them in the tank, and not worrying about adding shrimp later on down the road. If there's any pathogens on any of the snails from plants or anything like that in your tanks that these ones got immunity to, when you add new shrimp to, they could cause issues. So however many shrimp you want, the 5-gallon tanks can hold like 200 shrimp, but I don't recommend doing that. You want to give some breeding capabilities before they start to handle the numbers on their own.
Hey, Ruben.
And then speak of the devil, we got Ruben. We were already talking about. I'm trying to convince her to move to South Florida. All these crazy laws trying to stop me.
To move to Texas.
Oh man,
we live in South Florida.
Yeah, you gotta move to South Texas. Ruben.
Wake you up.
Yeah.
Knock you out.
Well, if you would have done your video, you would have knocked me out. You want to throw this globe at me for our Earth video that got no video, no views on. No, it was your idea to throw it at me. It's a water balloon first. Okay. San Antonio. I'm not sure about my Texas locations at all.
You have no idea about Texas. You're going to get lost.
That's it.
The roads are terrible.
No.
We did
You're
not
gonna
enjoy
get
it.
lost.
And you hurt your arm in Texas.
I'm great with location. You go to the
Exactly.
The
I'm going to get lost and you're going to have to come find me.
The trails and you're like, we should go this way. And I'm like, no, we need to go this way. And you're like, argue 5 minutes. We end up going my way. 5 minutes down the trail, she's like, all right.
You know what? Ours would take us in a lot better,
our kids,
a whole new adventure.
Like, we walked a mile. We swam for 3 hours upriver. Oh, and I'm like, trust me, kids, let's go this way. We took a vote. They trusted me.
Right. So, Mommy's got lost walking the dogs.
I'm great with location.
No, I
have no problems.
Whole hour lost out in the reserves. Man, it's a little tricky. And sunsets, I'll be able to find my way home, though. I at least know north, south, east, and west.
It was high noon. The kids were baking on the sugar sand.
Okay, Boa Shrimp. What is the mix for that?
All right, so you can make your own Boa Shrimp with just a simple Tangerine Tiger and Taiwan beef, but it's going to take you at least 10 to 12 generations, and that's with like perfect breeding results, getting exactly the right combination and patterns from each generation moving forward, because you're going to want to get the Tangerine Tigers orange out of there. You just want the stripes and the dots on the head. Then you want to get the double pigment from the Shadow Panda or whatever Taiwan bee you're going to use. And then it's going to be simply breeding many generations to get more dots on the head, more stripes on the back, and then getting that back line involved and everything like that. But all you need is Tangerine Tigers and Taiwan bees. Or you could use Aurora Tigers, Red Auroras, any wild Serrata shrimp will work as well.
Ruben uses an Elita 15 on 9 tanks.
That's overkill, man.
You have bubbles like coming out?
Do you have a silencer
flashing
on it, man? Have you seen the silencer? Because I had my 15 for like 2-3 years until Richard showed me the silencer for him, and I still never got the silencer for it. I was like, this thing's too loud. I went and bought a 40, and the 40 runs not enough tanks. I gotta bleed off too much of the air.
Person said, it's okay, Grant, keep talking. No, don't encourage him. Just kidding.
Our son's gonna have the same problem. Talks.
It's a good thing. At least you're intelligent enough and you know what you're talking about, and everyone can see that you're passionate.
I just said I'm trying to move to South Florida twice, didn't I?
I mean, I wasn't going to say anything. Hello, Ricky. First time in a live chat.
How's it going, man?
I'm so sorry. I really got to start wearing my contacts when we do live streams.
I'm horrible with last names, but I assume that's the same Ricky that stopped by the house.
I can't see. I think so.
Jack or James Dempsey's buddy. If it is, I think James was trying to buy those tanks for you, man.
I can't read this at all. Yeah, I'm sorry. Check my tap water. Comes in with a 3 to 4 kH. So seems need RO filter. Keep active substrate active.
Yeah, if your tap water has any kH at all in the content, mineral content, that's carbonate hardness, that is going to cause your pH of your water to be neutral, and it is going to constantly fight the pH of your active substrate. So you have to get a water source that has 0 kH. Some pet stores will sell RO water, especially if they have a saltwater section. And, just make sure that you have a TDS pen or a GHKH test kit, because sometimes they get lazy. They don't change their filters when they should. And sometimes you come home with water that's like 30 or 60 TDS, and you're like, I don't know what's in the minerals. So definitely make sure you got your minerals. Maybe check the TDS before you leave the store. But getting an RO unit is definitely the way to go. Nobody wants to lug around jugs or buckets or anything like that. And you can get some fairly cheap ones. And depending on how high your TDS is in your tap water, if you only have 3 to 4 kH, chances are you don't need a very strong RO unit. They have ones on eBay, 5 stages, that are only like $50 to $75. So maybe prices have gone up now, but some people are even able to get away with the RO buddy. And probably check your TDS. Make sure you're under 150 before you get one of those. But some people use it with a little higher TDS with no problems. But it's definitely needed if you have that kH in your water, man. How's it going, Papa Shrimp?
How you doing?
And see, Ruben saying do it. I got his approval.
Oh, that's see, we're so far behind. I forgot about that. You guys would get in trouble all the time.
Leave it to new local Austin to give us the geography of Austin. Thank you, man.
Are in the middle.
My man was teaching us how to eat barbecue.
What's
the Texas way?
What's South Texas then? What would be in South Texas? The warmest part of Texas.
Mexico, the border.
Did you just?
What's the southest part of Texas?
New Mexico?
No, Mexico, the border, where they touch.
Oh.
I just don't know what towns touch the border.
I think isn't it New Mexico.
No, not New Mexico.
Terrible maps. Hey, Richard. I screamed that.
You gotta
GK
add it
Aquatics.
on the screen.
Sorry.
You're driving me nuts.
What's new? It's Grant. I had to go chase my dog for a bit. Did I miss your answer? My shrimp. Nope, we skipped right over that. Sorry.
What's the shrimp net question?
He's asking what your favorite shrimp net is and if we sell it. Are you going all the way to the garage? You better get the one that I like. I like a different one than he does. So he's going all the way to the garage to get them. We just have a huge new order of them. Hey, Chris. And Sully. Oh my God. You could have just grabbed one. Oh.
You got some nets. My favorite nets
Someone come
are gonna be the shrimp king ones. And yeah,
That's my net.
well, I mean,
These are your nets that you choose.
listen, they only had so many.
No.
So when they only have so many, they only have like 20, 30 in your style, then you start buying the other ones. These Shrimp King nets last forever. I leave them in water. I leave them soaking in the Coral MD dip, or if we run out of that, we've been using the 91% rubbing alcohol, but they don't rust. The nets take all the batter when we have sword fights and beat each other with them. They take the thrashing. So they're a little bit tricky.
Everyone.
I know, like Teresa, when she was working with them for the shrimp contest.
Wow.
Sorry, that casualties.
I'm gonna be the next Amber Heard.
It takes a little bit of effort, like flick of the wrist, to get the shrimp, in the net and then caught and then flicked in the cup. But like once you get it down, it's so much easier to get shrimp out of this net than it is like the little square box nets. The square box nets, like sometimes the shrimp hang on to those so well that you gotta tap the nets on the cup. And I think like Mark Shrimp Tanks was even like, I hate when I see people doing it. I hate doing it, but like there's no way to like get the shrimp out of it without doing that. But with these, you kind of just poke it through the other side and it comes out of the net. So I highly recommend getting these. I was able to pick these up at one of our co-op stores here in Florida, Florida Fish Farmers Co-op, and they were kind of cheap. They're a little expensive net if you just buy them from a retailer, but they last for years. I've got some from the very original shrimp contest at the Aquatic Experience in Jersey, and they're still in the rotation. We try to keep a different net for every single tank. The reason why I had that many nets is because we just set up the new rack. So every single tank will get its own net. And we do that so there's no cross-contamination. I don't need to clean nets in between catching different shrimp and stuff like that. And it really makes things a lot easier in the house.
So to add to that, my favorite one was our glass shrimp catcher that we had for a while, and someone broke it.
I'm not the only one.
You broke it. Oh, I did break the first one.
Yeah, we had like 3 of them.
They were pretty cool. I haven't seen those, but it does come a little pain because you get the water in, and then there's a spout on the other side. So when you go to dip it, there's just too much water. But they were pretty cool. They seemed to work. No shrimp would get stuck because it's glass, so it was nice. And what TDS do you keep your Sulawesi cardinal shrimp in?
You could answer.
No, I can't.
200. 200.
It's been a while.
I'll mix the minerals to like 190, and then for whatever reason they don't fully get dissolved into the water, and it usually balances out to the tank water is at 200 after everything's in and settled and in the tank for a while. And then the key to the Sulawesi is having a lid on the tank, and that makes sure your parameters stay nice and stable.
All right. And then Brownsville is as far south as you can go, I guess. Oh, the last name.
So
maybe
Brown.
It's supposed to be.
You've got a deed there waiting. See?
Could you imagine? Found some lost relatives in Brownsville. All right. Papa Shrimp asks, Do you prefer tap water for Neos or RO remineralized?
All right, so here's the story with the Neos. I have bred them, and what is going on? I don't know if you guys can hear this, but he's got to be like wagging his tail on one of the
The
tanks.
tank stand
No,
by
it's
the
not.
front door.
I think it's the trash can though. Yeah, sorry for that. It's not aliens. It's just our dog. It's still messing
Why
things
would you
up.
think it's aliens? That's
It sounded weird. I don't know. Anyways, we bred Neos in 70 TDS when I just thought all you needed was RO water. I bred Neos really well with some testing salts from Colin, and that makes the Thrive shrimp fertilizers and stuff like that. And it's just a lot of work. And I have all my ponds and everything outside. And I was like, I'm not making RO water for all those tubs out there. I'm basically sending it on the tap water and using shrimp prep or prime to take out the chlorine. And I was like, if it doesn't work, I'll get a different strain of Neos, somebody else's line, and start all over. So for me, I prefer the tap water just because it's so much easier and I don't have to move, trash cans of water outside. It'd be impossible for me to do it without like some type of water system with PVC or something like that. I kind of roll trash cans outside, so my whole system would be out the door. But I almost say like everybody's tap water is probably better for their Neos than trying to mix our water, just because everybody gets lazy and chances are your tap water is going to be fairly consistent. So if you can just stay on top of doing your water changes and everything like that, you'll be fine with whatever irregularity you'll have. The only thing I say is if your tap water comes out at 180 TDS, check it every single time right before you do your water changes, because if they're doing some kind of cleaning in the pipes to get rid of those hard minerals that are built up, they'll put some chloramine or something in the system and a heavy dose. And what ends up happening is all of those hard minerals are then added into your water at home, and your TDS will go up through the roof. So if you see like a big 50 or higher TDS spike, maybe wait a week on doing water changes for the whole system to kind of clear out. And you can check with your water provider and get their water test tables and stuff like their schedules to get that, or you can just test beforehand. I think that's the best thing to do.
a lot of people have had more success with tap water than RO remineralized. I believe that there is more minerals in the tap water that we're not putting in remineralizer, and you can't yes, it's great, but I think that the shrimp do much better with the tap water. And I'm not saying that for Karadina though, definitely Neos. Okay, if you mix all the tiger shrimp together with the orange-eyed tiger, what do you get? All the tiger shrimp together.
You get some tiger mutts. Nothing really fancy comes out of it. There are a couple of different things like mixing certain tigers with one another. Like you can mix tangerine tigers with aurora blue tigers and you get green apple tigers, but not all of them even look green. Most of them look like orange tangerine tigers or like a light faded blue. Very few of them even look green in color. You could add royal blue tigers to that to try and get the green eyes added on, or orange eyes added onto like the green shrimp. But you add cheetahs into the mix, you add raccoons into the mix. You're really getting along some crosses that I don't think many people are even doing. So you're going to get a lot of mutts, and it's going to be hard to tell who crossed with what, except for the tangerine tigers. Whatever they cross with, you're going to get a bunch of orange-looking tangerine tigers. So it's just nothing special, but it would be a really fun tank. There's a lot of people out there who do mixed tiger tanks. We even sell hybrid or mixed tigers on the website from us just mixing aurora, tangerine tiger, and the orange-eyed blue tigers and black tigers all together.
And Ruben said that he needs one of those TGOE shirts. I wonder which one, because I'm wearing the other one too. I like my goosebump one.
So Shelby made these ones. Can't get those. Those are custom made only for us. These ones are on Spring Tea. Shelby, you need to get your act together and post the link. And
I'm going to hit you with one of these shrimp nets.
And yeah, no, she just got everything done up for us, and then we were gonna go ahead and like do up a thing where if you wear one of our t-shirts for like Aqua Sheller or Aquaticon, then we'll give you like a 20% off at the booth or something like that. But yeah, there's too much things going on between us. We're trying to get together and do a resale license. We just filed for a fictitious name and everything like that. We've been keeping this like fully hobby up until this year, and Shelby's like, it's retail life, or this retail life is killing me. I got to find something else to move on with. So I was like, hey, let's take this a little bit more serious. Take your isopods, take some plants, take a couple other things that you got working on, and I think we could focus on that, and you could step aside from being a manager at a retail store, because it is wearing and tearing on her, and I could put her to better use here, and I think we'd be just as off, and you'd be even happier. So we are slowly but surely working on things that like a normal business would have, like t-shirts. So they're in the works. Did you just post the link?
No, I can't find it.
Oh, all right. Well, we'll get it. And yeah. If you buy one of the shirts you wear for Aqua Shell at Dallas, we will have a booth for Dallas, but not for Chicago. So Chicago and AGA. Oh, AGA is in Chicago the week before Chicago's Aqua Shell. So we're gonna do a booth for AGA, and we're probably gonna stay in Chicago, fly home, fly back, do something. I'm not quite sure yet, but no way we can do 2 booths back-to-back weeks. I just probably don't even have the livestock to fill up that much anyways. I like a month in between with regular sales and everything like that. We do all right there. So probably just a booth for Dallas and AGA.
All right. Hey, Ray Aquatics and Yellowstone Aquatics.
How's it going, guys?
Right. And J. Oliver Guppies.
Hey, man, how's it going? Oh, and we got a question from Alan. You can bring it up.
Did I miss it?
No.
There was one 20 million gallons. We got one right before it. So Crypt Keeper asks, of all the red color shrimp varieties, Neo or Karadina, what is your favorite?
Bring up the picture.
Oh, that's your favorite? Hold on. No, it's not red.
The other one was red. Oh, you didn't bring it up. I'm so sorry.
Right.
Yep. I'm going to post it tomorrow. It's kind of going to ruin. Maybe I'm not going to post it tomorrow. I'll save it. But so with Taiwan bees, the red pigment can be so red that the two of them overlap, and it can actually be black, and it's called like a dragon's blood effect. I know that the Calcio shrimp, they have the blue dragon's blood shrimp or whatever, but before those were even thought of or created, there was dragon blood, red wine, red rubies, and basically it's where the red is so red that it comes out black. And to me, that is just so cool. It looks like a dragon kind of effect to it. So the dragon's blood name to it really worked for me. So like when everybody argues, oh, dragon's blood is this, I'm like, listen, whoever's first, they got the claim to it. And there's original posts on the shrimp spot of dragon's blood being the double pigment effect with the Taiwan bees. So you can also get that on like a Galaxy Pinto. And Shelby has this just gorgeous red Galaxy, and
Don't
it's
touch
not
it.
it's not
It's
it's
mine.
not fishbone or anything. It's just the zebra stripes, but
It's mine.
it is so red that it is literally black
Dark blood.
with a outline of red, and then the feet are red. So it's like you can tell the shrimp was red, but it's like
my
you
baby.
just take a picture of the body and you'd say it's a black shrimp, and you focus out and you're like, oh, it's something else is going on here. So to me, that's my. I'm a ginger. I'm not a big fan of wearing red t-shirts or anything like that. So red is not my color. You go to paintball, you're not going to catch me with anything red on. Blue, green, that's my style. So I'm not a big fan of red.
Can you guess mine?
So much red that it's black is my favorite.
Can you guess mine?
The red Galaxy Pintos.
Wrong.
Damn.
Because he said Neo or Karadina. He forgot about Sulu SA.
That wasn't part of it.
It said Neo or Karadina. So I'm
Yeah.
assuming he meant and or Silhouette.
And Karadina. Silhouette is a Karadina, but yeah, I guess.
So, Grant, I have a question. Do I need to put prime in RO water just in case the chloramines don't get pulled out of the RO process?
All right. So, Mark's shrimp tanks will say yes, and I'm not going to go against Mark at all. However, it depends how you prep your water. I don't use my RO water straight out of the tap. I let it sit overnight, and that gives it time to degas. So I use it the next day. And I've never had issues killing off a shrimp tank or anything like that after the RO water has been taken care of. So I've never done it, but I'm not going to recommend to other people. Mark shrimp tanks is the law. So if he says put prime in it, you put prime in it.
There's no harm in doing it either. So
yeah. All it does is raise your TDS by 10.
Yeah. And Grant, do you know if raccoon shrimp crossbreed with any of the common shrimp that we have in our tanks?
Excellent question. So that has been one of the things where people have asked me this question throughout the years. We've been breeding raccoon tigers for 3-4 years now. It's one of the newer shrimp in the hobby, and I know we got them well before COVID, and COVID is like 2 years old now. So it's got to be 2 or 3 at least years that we've been breeding them, and I've never had enough room in the house to go, all right, this tank is going to be raccoon females, and I'm going to throw in some bee shrimp or something to figure it out. So we didn't get to it until just this year. But I've also always told my customers this, like, hey, if you get raccoon tigers to breed and you get something new in your tank, that is something that has never been done before. Nobody, I mean, they might be doing it overseas and stuff like that and just not sharing the results or stuff like that. But over here, nobody say, oh, I bred raccoons with crystals and now I got blue crystal looking shrimp or something, purples or something like that. So the sky's the limit. I don't know if they can breed with anything. However, this rack behind me is going to be my playground for like a good 5-6 months at least, and to hold me over until I run out of project ideas. But I got a couple of tanks that are already like set up where if we got breeding going on, the babies will be different than all the purebred shrimp that are already going in the tank. So I can remove the new babies that are nothing alike that I've ever seen before, and we can throw them into the new cycle tanks and get them going and hopefully start new lines of shrimp. And back to you got to leave the question up or I'm going to forget all about what I'm talking about. No.
I don't listen to you.
One of the cool projects that I did was I threw some Yellow King Kong females into the raccoon tiger tanks. One tank, we got a buried female. The other tank, just saddled still. So hopefully, the mood will change and she'll get buried up too. But the other question that I have yet to answer is, do shrimp retain sperm like guppies? If a guppy gets tagged by a male, she can give 3 batches of babies. Is this the same for shrimp? And, what are the limits to it? No real documentation has been done. I like to revert back to the stardust shrimp when people talk about breeding and stuff like that. And like, oh, I put this shrimp in and I got all these cool looking speckled shrimp. Well, I've got some real cool speckled looking, like almost everybody thought they were stardust shrimp, but they're just Tangerine Tiger Aurora cross. So, and those were still in the other people's tanks that were saying that they bred the stardust. They had buried stardust in a tank and they said that there's no other male stardust and stuff like that. But then all the babies look like stardust. So I want to say like maybe stardust can hold at least maybe 1 or 2 sets of babies. But Yellow King Kongs are true to their breeding. If you cross them with anything else, though, they all look like Tangerine Tiger tank tie babies. So if the raccoons and the Tangerine Tiger or the Yellow King Kongs did cross, I will know exactly right away because they're either going to look like little mini Yellow King Kongs or they're going to look like something totally new. So I will have an answer for you hopefully soon, but maybe the Yellow King Kong held some sperm and we'll have just Yellow King Kongs. We'll find out.
Hello, Johnny.
How's it going, John?
Any special requirements for aquatic type isopods?
So we really haven't even dabbled or like gone to press the meter on what we can do parameter wise with these. We've only kept them in one tank. And I got people like, hey, we want them, we want them, we want them. And I've let a couple batches go here and there. But I haven't decided on like what tanks I want to put them in, because they're kind of like one of those things where you stick the net in a plant or anything like that. You go to pull a plant out and you got a bunch of aquatic isopods. So I really got to be careful on where I'm going to put them, because I don't want aquatic isopods in places I don't want to have to deal with getting those out. So I haven't set up more than one tank of them yet. I was told that the person that I got them from was breeding them in Karadina parameters as well. But for now, we're just keeping them just like regular Karadina shrimp in neutral water, inert substrate with a filter that's not going to suck up baby shrimp. And we do water changes every other week, 30 to 40%. And we just feed them like normal shrimp every other day. And that's about it.
And Ruben said he wants my princess bees. Mine did not do so well, and we are hoarding the rest of them. We're going to be starting another tank of them, and
you make it sound like they all got wiped out.
No,
they didn't get wiped out.
Just not enough to sell.
So I had the mutants pop up, and the mutants live.
I'm talking about my tank, not your tank.
All right, I'm just saying the princess bees all together. They just, for whatever reason, they're not breeding as fast. But there is a shrimper that got out of the hobby, and I bought like $800 worth of his shrimp. And one of the colonies that he had are super princess bees. And I plan on adding we got another batch of mutants, and I plan on adding the mutants males with however many females that I get from the new colony. And I'm going to try and get those breeding and going in one of the new tanks.
So creative ways to cool down a tank since summer is approaching.
Oh, man. For us, we don't really have many creative ways, because we go through the entire house and AC it at 70 degrees. With the sun being so close to Florida, man, the heat index is a lot higher this year. Or last year than it was before, and it was definitely higher than when we first set up the AC unit for our house. So what ends up happening is it gets so hot outside that our house and the doggy door doesn't help. We got a doggy door and the dogs come in and out. So the house will get to like 74 by the end of the day, but this keeps about all the tanks at about 70 to 72 throughout the day. And that's what we do to keep the temperatures down. However, if you can't control the whole house, maybe you can do a window AC unit. The other thing is if it was like a brutally hot day, or your AC goes out, what do you do? In the freezer, you can put water bottles of RO water and keep them frozen. And if it's a really hot day and you see the temperatures rising up to 74 or higher, maybe break the water bottle up into small pieces, get some frozen RO water ice cubes or something like that. What we did was, for the hurricane, we froze entire 5-gallon buckets, and then I just basically took a hammer and a chisel and got ice cubes and threw the ice cubes into the tanks. And it worked great for like the first hour until I ran out of ice cubes with so many tanks. But yeah.
All right. If you have to move a tank, is it better to put the same water back in or put new RO water?
New RO water. And hold on, just to go back to Crypt Keeper. Also, if there's no lid on the tank, you could put a fan. Any evaporation that's going to happen is also going to lower the temperature of the tank. So you could do that too. But with moving tanks, you're always going to mess up substrate, and you're going to make the water dirty. Whatever you don't take out, you can't take it all out. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to dilute that as much as possible by adding fresh new water back into the tank. I never add old water back into my tanks. This is like one of the urban legends that some people just can't match the water parameters of the old water to the new water going in. And that's the key. If you can get your parameters to match up, then you don't need to add in old things.
Hey, Alex.
Hey, man. How's it going? Nice to see you joining us tonight.
All right. What are your thoughts on well water from a natural spring?
So our location, I can't get well water. Well, we could, but we're quite residential, and I don't think any of our neighbors from 10 blocks of here have wells. So everybody's on city water, and it's really cheap where we live. So I've never gotten a well. However, I'm super jealous of all of my shrimp breed or not shrimp fish breeding friends who have well water, and that, like especially like my where we got our original koi fish from, Bill. He just runs the well and floods the water. The water runs over the top, and that's how he does his water changes. So it'd be super nice to just be able to do that like during the winter time. And on a night where it got too cold, I could just run the well and help drop the temperatures of the pond down. But we don't have that. And I think it depends how far down your well goes on how hard of water you're going to get and stuff like that. And I don't know much about that to give any more of thoughts on it. But I wish I had a well so I didn't have to worry about water treatment plants.
The only downside I would say to definitely check if you're going to use well water is when your well was built. So back in the days, they used copper pipes. Copper's not good for shrimp, so you will get copper leached into the water. So when I used to have a property with well water, we were not allowed to drink out of it. I would not use it for shrimp then. So you just have to be careful and know nowadays they definitely don't use copper pipes anymore. So you don't have to worry about it if it's new, but these were old pipes. So let's see. Getting back into shrimp, this time Karadina. I use RDI water and remineralize it with salty shrimp GH+. What's the first Karadina I should start out with? I've successfully bred thousands of Neos in the past.
So we went over this before. We get Tangerine Tigers, or if you really want to test the ground, go ahead and get some Michelins. These are crystal shrimp, which also have Taiwan bee genetics. So what's going to happen is if you're doing everything right, you're going to get crystal babies. But if you're doing everything perfect and your shrimp are thriving and your babies are, getting the proper minerals and stuff and food when they're going through their first week, then they're going to be able to survive that first molt and grow, and you're going to get Taiwan bees. And if you get the Taiwan bees, then you're doing everything right, and you can move on to more expensive shrimp. And you're only spending like $4 or $5 for Michelins and possibly get the expensive shrimp out of it if you're doing everything perfect.
But if you like tigers like me, Tangerine Tigers or Super Tigers are also great.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with tigers, so I like them more than the bees.
But you could keep those with their Neos, so I don't recommend those as like somebody wanting to test out their Karadina skills.
When planning out a crossbreeding project, what is the ideal number of different takes you'd use to keep each of the color morphs or grades that pop out?
Man, this is going to really depend on like what the goal is, what the project is, and like what cool comes out. So if I'm going down like a road that I've never been down before and I cross this with this and F2 comes out, but then F3, I get 3 different things that I want to work with. Well, then all 3 of those things now get a brand new tank. So for our green tigers, we might have 10 green tiger tank projects going on. For our fancy tigers, we've probably got 10 of those tanks going on. 6 or 7 tanks for galaxies and of each color, So it depends on the type of shrimp. But if you're going to work on a cross breeding project, I would say at least 3. So that way you have, the original project that you're starting off from, and then, a road that you can go down and work on, and then a cull tank as well.
And Alan said he's going to try the raccoons and the crystals and the tigers.
Good luck, man. I'd love to see somebody else having some crazy combinations and success as well, especially somebody local. Then maybe I can come by and check them out.
So Alex said, shrimp do not retain sperm. Supermarket. They have a donut-shaped sperm packet the females save outside their body, and the eggs are washed as they leave the oviduct tubes to her belly.
Now, are you positive that's for all shrimp? Every single species? Because, I don't know what kind of shrimp stardust are. They might be paracaridina, they might be caridina. So It's probably for all shrimp though, if Alex is saying it. So
because it's anatomy.
he would have
and
said
they're probably all
Karadina and Neocaradina if it was that. It's probably all shrimp. But yeah, I mean, then we've got some brand new shrimp. Or the other thing is I think it's instant. As soon as the eggs are fertilized in the saddle, that they can be dropped down. I don't know if there's any lag delay time in that either, because I took the yellow King Kong female out of one tank, moved it in. The very next morning, she was buried in the raccoon tank, and she was not buried when I threw her in. So maybe she got tagged the second before I grabbed her. So I don't know. Maybe Alex can answer that too. I just care about like what the shrimp's going to look like when I put two of them together. I haven't done like the whole anatomy of shrimp, and everybody's like, "Oh, can you name this part of the shrimp?" I'm like, "No, I'm sorry, haven't gone into that. It's homework. I haven't done it yet."
So that's a long one. I don't know if you want me to read that.
Do it.
So
Post it.
okay, carbon filters that are effective in removing chlorine are also used to remove chloramine. However, chloramine is more stubborn than chlorine and is therefore needs more contact time in the carbon filter to be able to remove it. I quoted this from the first RO filter seller. Hold on, it's still going. I thought RO membranes were damaged by chlorine and chloramine. Hence, reason filter typically includes carbon stage before RO membrane.
There wasn't really a question there.
Sorry.
It's all good. Yeah, no, the chloramines are definitely more harmful, and I think that's why Mark's Shrimp Tanks recommends to dose the prime, is because the chloramines can possibly get through.
So 10 Boa Shrimp in a 10-gallon or 20 gallons?
I always recommend, going bigger if you have the possibility. And with Boa Shrimp, I would definitely go bigger than 10 if I could. I have all my boas in 10-gallon tanks though, but they are like my nicest setup tanks, and all of our 20s are kind of like set up for planted tanks first, shrimp tanks second. So that's why.
Grant, you mentioned that if moving a tank to replace all water and match correctly, what about the pH? Will the substrate buffer it back down quick enough to make it safe if we were aging the water?
So a lot of reasons why I age my water overnight is because the pH will drop in the water as well. So having the aged water overnight, your water will also be low. And then that's also why we recommend that you add the water back very slowly to the water, so that way it can buffer back up. But I don't really worry too much about the pH. What I worry about is TDS, GHKH, and I really don't focus on GH or KH. I just focus on the TDS because I know what my water is made out of. I know the RO water has 0 KH and GH, and I know the minerals that I'm adding back have only GH minerals. So I know they're about a 30-to-1 ratio of TDS to GH. So I just test the TDS, and I know where about my mineral content lies. And the temperature, that is going to be a real key factor. You don't want the temperatures to rise or fall too fast. And so as long as the mineral content is on point and temperature is on point, I just go for it, and I haven't had any issues. Like, we literally drained and moved so many tanks from Steven's house all the way to here, moved tanks off of this old rack to a new rack, or no, another old rack and stuff like that. And I've never added old water, and we've never had any issues, especially just moving from one rack to another without a long drive. But even with the drives from Aquashella to the Florida State Fair and stuff like that, we always add new water, and we never had any issues. It's just adding it slowly. And even with the State Fair, we can't match the parameters. So it's like doing acclimation in the tank if the shrimp are already in there.
Yeah, it's more of a risk for you to use water that you've already got mulm and stirred everything up, because sometimes the sediment can have stuff. When you stir it up into the water, it can affect any fish, anything in the tank, even plants. And Alex said wells can also have ammonia and nitrates, etc.
Yeah, but your tap water can also have ammonia in it too. Mm-hmm. So I've had some customers go, I just did a 50% water change in my tank. My water's ammonia is higher. Well, your tap water's got ammonia in it.
How long does substrate take to buffer pH back down?
I guess that would matter how fast your filter flow is, if you have an underground filter or not. But within like the first hour, it should be able to cycle and maintain the water down.
And he said, you are correct. They drop as being fertilized instantly.
Yeah. So then I would say it's safe to say the yellow King Kong has been tagged by a raccoon male. And it'll be real interesting to see how the babies turn out. And the other thing is does that mean they're just normal Karadina shrimp? That'd be cool.
And hello, Danikin, Aquatics, and Michelle.
Let's go, guys. And thank you, Frank, for
so far behind.
asking everybody to smash that like button all night tonight.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. We need to figure out how to make
ABC
Frank a moderator.
Yes.
ABC Aquatics is going to be featured on one of my favorite streamers' channels. I believe it's Rico Stone. I can't remember, but I'm excited to watch that. I hope it hasn't already happened, but if it already has, I will be going back to watch that for sure. How's it going, man?
Alex said, I want to get more cheetah from you to try crossing with Stardust, or even see if Raccoon and Balti can mix #goals. Did I say that wrong? Is it
Balti? Yeah.
Babelotti?
No, it's not Babelotti.
We always said
Listen,
it like
Alex,
that.
I used to always say Babelotti before, and I had to watch your video. So if you want some cheetahs, message me when I get back from Aquaticon. I think your coupon code has done you justice, and I can send you some cheetahs, man.
Oh, hey, Bunny. I didn't see your comment.
How's it going, Bunny Viper? Oh, we're at the bottom.
What does my RO water get cloudy if I let it sit for days? If it's getting a bacteria bloom. Did I read that right?
Is it getting a bacteria
Is
bloom?
it getting sorry. Getting late.
I don't have this issue. RO water doesn't last very long in the house.
Wait, is it just the top of the RO water? Is it the whole bin of RO water? Is what I want to know. Because if it's the top, most likely it's something in your air.
It's like dust.
If it's the whole thing, then it's definitely got to be something. Maybe your mineralizer is different.
And also, I have a question. Do you have a brute trash can, or are you using a different kind of trash can? So maybe that's something we can talk about afterwards if you don't get back to us in time, Ruben. But yeah, I haven't had that issue, and the only thing I can say is maybe like there's some biofilm or something left in, and the biofilm is growing. The only time I've had that issue is when I left the container next to the window that was open for too long, and like we were painting and building a stand or something, but I still used the water. But like Shelby said, I think it was a film on top of the water, not the whole water itself.
I've seen a lot of things get a film, and I'm assuming a lot of times if you have pets, like I know you have pets, some things get on top of the water and it causes that film, because it happens in tanks. It happens like if I don't have a lid on my what size that nearly Scapers tank, it's got a film on top of it, and don't know where it comes from. I'm assuming it's going to be dust and particles in the air falling down, because we don't use any air fresheners or anything, but it's got that white film. Sorry, we skipped some. Didn't even know this person was. Good night.
How's it going, Dead Boy? And North
He's
Carolina.
leaving. He's leaving. That's New York. It might be New York. Yes, New York City. Hello, Skipper. And Lonnie.
Hey, Skipper, how's it going, man?
And Lonnie. Do you guys clean your sponge filters?
So our spring cleaning video that we just did, we went through and cleaned the ones that had bacterial blooms, kind of what Ruben is talking about. I was treating them differently in the past, and I was having good success on, just letting them ride out, and they'd last maybe a week or two. And then some of them I would reduce feeding and they would ride out and stop. Some of them giant water change, they would go away. Sometimes you do a big water change and they come back twice as strong. So I had somebody recommend to clean out the filters when you had them, and I was like, you know what do I got to lose? Let's start doing it. And I tested it out in Jaden's tank, or in Jaden's room, and it did wonders. Like, a lot of the tanks were doing really well. A couple days afterwards, I didn't lose any of the shrimp after doing it. So I went through and started doing it in some of the other tanks in the house. And we had some tanks that were like cloudy for over a year, and they're now crystal clean tanks. So the only reason why I would ever clean the sponge filter is if you take the sponge apart and the intake, you blow it out and it still doesn't work, then maybe you clean out the filter. Or if you see a cloudy bacterial bloom, go ahead and clean those filters. I was like stubborn at first. I did one side, and then a week later did the other side, except for one tank. And the one tank that I did both of them at the same time, that tank was crystal clear. So take care of both sides of the filters at once. Or bonus, swap out one of the filters with a brand new filter, clean the other one at the same time, throw them on, and your tank should be crystal clear in no time. But that's the only time I clean them.
Alex said, sweet, thanks, Grant. I'll happily buy more shrimp from you too. Your shrimp have survived 100%. So much healthier than Karadina I've had in the past that are all so touchy.
Yeah, no, it's like the Super Princess bees and stuff like that. I don't like selling that many of them because they're like not as hardy as like the other shrimp. The shrimp that I sell are the shrimp that I feel have passed the test and they're worth going out to other people in the hobby because they're going to do well for others. So, yeah.
Hey, Lewis.
How's it going, man? Nice to see you.
Jamie suggested to add some H2O2 to your container. I'm assuming the RO container.
Oh.
And Crypt Keeper suggested maybe try emptying and peroxiding the water container to kill whatever could be growing on surfaces. That's good. Ruben said he keeps it in a 55-gallon barrel with no lid, food grade.
Oh, yeah, it was a food grade barrel.
Yeah.
It should be good, man. I don't know. Is it in your bathroom, though? Maybe you want to put a lid on it. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've been to your house.
And yes, which remineralizer do you use?
The Salty Shrimp GH Plus is my go-to remineralizer. We mix all of our tanks the night beforehand. I do use the Brightwell minerals also, but that's just like in an emergency. Say if I didn't mix enough water the night beforehand and I needed to do a water change because the kids accidentally dropped a toy in one of our tanks or something like that, then I can make it real quick with the liquid minerals and just make sure that they have 0 KH in them. But GH Plus from Salty Shrimp is the most bang for your buck. It is a salt. They sell it in bulk containers. I get it in 3,000 gram, 3 kilo containers, and we go through one of those every 2 months at least. So, but for cost expenses, and if you don't really have that many tanks, they sell a 250 gram container, and it's pretty cheap, and it should last you quite a long time. It's like 1 scoop for every 5 gallons or something like that, I believe.
Lewis asks, has Shelby ever said we have enough fish or shrimp? What's your answer to that? I'm curious.
Not enough, but there have been times where she's like, we don't need to be bidding on these shrimp, and I'm like, they don't go for this price. I at least needed like dabble with the idea of bidding to this number, and several times I've won the shrimp, and they ended up being good investments in the end. But in Shelby's defense, timing probably wasn't the best.
Never.
And yeah,
so the biggest answer to this question is that I am very cheap. I do not like spending money on things. So like if we could get a really insanely good deal, then most of the time you can convince me to buy anything. You're talking to someone who doesn't like spending more than $20 on a t-shirt. Like I think $20 is a lot for a t-shirt. So, but I'll spend $20 on a fish, but it has to be the right fish and it has to be a good deal. So I don't really say that. We are currently in a debate on enough tanks in the living room. He wants to do 72 tanks in the middle of our living room. And while it does sound wonderful and that's so cool, I also need to be able to move and live life without stress.
You messed up.
I am way more accommodating.
It was going to be 72 tanks.
36.
But you gave me time to think about it. And where I want the new rack, I can definitely go higher. So I'm going to say 40 tanks on the front, all facing vertical, like out like these ones here. Not vertical. Jesus.
It is vertical.
Laterally, not vertical.
Oh.
Vertical is up and down. Not
You're
that
right.
way. Laterally. And then we're going to set up 20 on the back of those perpendicular to those. So they'll be long ways, and we can set those up for like nice little planted fish tanks.
Wouldn't
and
that
stuff
only
like
be
that.
60?
40 on the front, 20 on the back, yeah. But we're going high. You didn't want it long, so I had to take off tanks. She narrowed me down to a certain section. So
I believe I've been more than accommodating in this household.
So it'll be
I'm done.
5 rows high, and I'll have 40 tanks on the front row. 10 tanks per. No, that doesn't even go out. I don't know what I did right. Oh, eight.
So Alex said there is a white milky clear fungus, water rot, that can form in RODO or low TDS waters. It will eat any source of tannins or wood. It's also why new wood gets slimy and grows white fuzz. Answered so many questions in one.
Well, that's just the biofilm, but like, I don't know why that would be happening to a
water rot,
a plastic container that he's used for several years now. Okay. But if your RO water is lasting that long, over 5 days, Ruben, you need to step your water changes up right now. Right now. It's unacceptable.
If a shrimp is buried, does it mean that the eggs were fertilized, or can the eggs come out without an actual mating taking place?
If the shrimp is buried, that means 100% that the eggs have been fertilized. They will not drop unless they're fertile. So if they're in the saddle, unfertile, buried, they're already good to go. That's why when a female will die, you can cut the eggs out of her, save the eggs. Those eggs should be viable. As long as you keep some motion underneath them, that keeps them clean, keeps the fungus off of them, and they should breathe.
What's the most rare moss you carry?
I can't pronounce it. Oh, no, the miniphysidans.
You think that's more rare than the rose moss?
Who has miniphysidans? Rose moss you could probably buy on eBay right now, but or the Delaria, whatever it is, the Maxilia Delaria. I don't know. I can't pronounce the Latin names, but yeah, those two. Or the Boost moss. Boost moss is pretty rare. We don't have a lot of rare mosses. We have a lot of common mosses that thrive really well.
Have you kept any African or Middle Eastern shrimp other than the vampire?
No. I couldn't even name any other shrimp that came out of those areas. Sadly. I wish.
And you said the answer is always more tanks for the living room. I don't know if you're up to date on how many tanks we have in the living room, but like the two racks he wants to do in the middle of the living room, I mean, we don't even have a couch yet.
I tried to buy a couch today. They didn't have a good enough couch.
How long were we without one?
I put a couch in the place, and then the rest of the room for tanks.
People walk into our house and they're like, "Yeah, it's just tanks. It's just tanks." I want somewhat of a normal life.
We had an Australian guy show up and knock on the door. He's like, "Hi, Mike. I got some internet delays going on, and it's costing me money. Yeah, you mind if I step inside real quick and check this out for you?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he's like, he walks in. He's like, "Oh, mate, you've got quite an operation going here, don't you?" And it took him like 5 seconds. He's in and out, but his mouth was like, "Oh my God, what are these Americans doing?" Like, He was not ready for that.
We look like we have problems. So we're in Florida. We do not have basements. We might sink into a sinkhole, though. Don't worry.
Sinkhole cavern underneath the house that
Don't
could
worry.
open up at any time.
Nothing to worry about.
However, our house has been pinned in Florida. They have two different solutions for sinkholes. One is they pour the concrete underneath the house and fill the hole. Our insurance company said that hole is way too big. We are going to give you a bunch of money and pin your house so that way you can feel comfortable that one day you might wake up, go outside, and your driveway, your car, the tree, everything is in a hole in an 80-foot cavern, but your house is still going to be in the foundation, hooked up in one spot. It will never move. So we did that. However, my neighbor, their insurance company said, oh, your hole's much smaller. We're just going to fill the concrete in. And what ended up being was supposed to be 24 trucks of concrete for his house, ended up being 98 trucks of concrete, or 99. I can't remember. It was almost 100. But probably all of it went underneath our house. Not all of it, but 70 truckfuls or so, give or take a few, went underneath our house and helped fill our hole. So I don't think all of our ponds would still be out back if it was an issue.
We haven't even filled up the rest of the ponds, so we'll find out, right? He said, go for the world record amount of tanks in one house and charge fees to do walk tours. That's actually my icebreaker joke every time someone walks in that's new into the house. I just go, there's a fee for our house, the aquarium you're walking into.
The Spring Hill Aquarium. But so like the thing about that is there's some crazy beta breeders in Thailand and stuff like that. And they got those little super tiny tanks, and like the numbers, maybe I should go for gallons of water inside a house. Mm-hmm. But like also people think our house is huge. Shelby looked up the footprint for our house. It's only 1,100 square foot. It is not that big. So like we could be the world record holders for most gallons or most aquariums in an 1,100 square foot house.
1,100.
Like,
I can't get my laundry basket through the living room.
Where you have artwork, where you have a china cabinet, where you have that little like thing that holds like a gun underneath and like your keys and stuff. I don't have that. I got tanks.
That was such a weird thing. Like not everyone has a gun. You
see the movies? They got that little thing, and then there's a gun underneath, or you pull it out.
Is not
it's
like
everybody's.
A common
it's
thing.
By the front door. Everybody has one. Or you have tanks.
You know what we do instead of guns? We just have an alligator tank above the door. So if someone comes in, we just grab the alligator out and we're like, all right, this is my weapon of choice.
Oh, I do have approval to get a caiman crocodile. So
I want one. So
kids need to be a little older though.
Yeah. Grant, Danny, and I fight over the tanks, not where we can put them. Be glad you have someone in control.
Well, I don't think it's anybody's in control. Somebody might go to work and then come home and have an archway to their new room.
Alex said, although sometimes females will drop from stress, but like Grant said, you can then tumble the eggs a few weeks or days to hatch them. And then Crypt Keeper said, Grant, you're a fish keeper. Where is your 5-gallon bucket chair? What is this couch thing?
It's in the garage. I have a 5-gallon bucket chair with a bucket seat.
You have a lot of buckets.
Yeah. But and a little fun fact. If you have a really crummy old Home Depot bucket that's filled with like concrete or paint or something and you don't want to clean it, bring it to Lowe's. They'll swap you out for a brand new blue bucket. Fun fact.
Michelle said they don't have basements in Ireland either and would love one. Yeah.
So there's actually this golf course that we went to, and we're on the bottom floor. My buddy had to go to the bathroom, and we looked at the corner. One of the doors was open that wasn't supposed to be open, and it had a staircase downstairs. And I'm like, bro, is that a basement? And he's like, yeah, we had to go check it out. And yeah, it's a basement in Florida. So like if we get the money to buy that golf course, if it ever goes down, We just buy that for the basement. We put all the tanks in the country clubhouse, and then we just keep some of the holes good for playing golf, and then the other ones, maybe we just do tons of fish pond bunker holes where we breed out and then charge people money to come see the fish ponds or play golf if they want to.
Alex asked Karadina. Not going to be able to pronounce that. I'm so sorry.
Serrata. Just say, oh, no, that's not Serrata. Serrata.
Is one I've hunted for 5 years. The original ninja shrimp.
Oh, okay.
They are found from Madagascar to Fiji. So they must also tolerate salt water, I guess. But they turn red/black. And he said, do you have any of them?
No, I actually watched like your don't you have a video about them or something like that? I swear it was you that I watched some ninja shrimp on or something like that. But yeah, I don't have them myself, man. Sorry.
No. Lewis asked, would you consider opening a store soon, as in going commercial? It would be awesome to have something other than PetSmart, Petco, Pet Supermarket, and Treasure Cove.
Not anytime soon, but like everybody's got dreams, and one of Shelby's and myself's dream is to have a pet store where the storefront is all the pets that we breed, and so everything is bred in-house. But it would be more like maybe one day we just have a commercial place where you could stop by maybe by appointment, and not just something where the whole public could come to at any willy-nilly, but definitely something where, you can make appointments and come by, but not at the house. So
No.
it's just too much cost, and I kind of like everything being here and having to hire an employee to run pet store and having to teach them. I need somebody that's as passionate as we are to do that. So I'd have to find the right person and stuff like that. And just don't have that right now.
What is the longest you've kept a Neo tank before replacing the substrate or resetting it?
The one in probably like 7 years. The one in our the fluval tank in the bedroom. Probably 7 years.
Layla's almost 8. So I would say 8 years.
Yeah. The substrate for Neos never needed to be replaced. They should be inert substrates, so they're not gonna have a lifespan to them or anything like that. As long as you keep the substrate clean. We have a ton of Malaysian trumpet snails that keep everything nice and clean in there, and I don't overfeed. That also just happens to be the tank with the isopods too. So the tank gets really nicely well done and clean.
Yeah, it's hard to keep track sometimes because we do dump out substrate and seal it up and then use it in other tanks. So some of them could be a lot older and we have no idea. Sometimes we've had to set up tanks with some substrate we found in the garage. And we're like, how long has this been sitting here? I have no idea. So I don't know. They work out well for Neos. Alex said, I bet Lucas Brett will give you guys a run for your money on tanks when he moves in. Healthy competition is always great.
Here's the thing, though. Like, my bro, I'm not going to be talking anything bad about him, but he's keeping all of his in a fish room. Like, he even bought a golf cart. And I told him, I was like, hey, man, you need to put some fish food in the little sand filler. They give you a little, when you make a divot in golf, they give you a little sand refill so you can fill in your divots. He should fill it in with fish food. So he's riding around. He's got his fish food handy. You can go to the pond. But I don't know how many tanks he's going to be setting up inside the house. But, like, we're only planning on being in this house for so long until we either have to move out, sacrifice the whole house for the shrimp, and find somewhere else to live and keep the shrimp and everything here, or we move out to a different property, kind of like what Lucas Brett's has, and Shelby has it her way. We won't have any tanks in the house, and maybe just
I never
one
said
super
not
nice,
any tanks in the house.
one
Just
super
not
nice skate tank. But
tanks in my way when
no
I can't
breeding.
do normal life functions.
No.
If you get me a washer and dryer in our bedroom, like in a closet where I can do all the laundry, where I'm not walking through our living room that literally he's given me this much room. The laundry basket is this big and I can't go through without going like this. and struggling, it's fine for tanks. I just don't want them in my way anymore. That's the problem.
So one day we'll probably be giving each other a run for our money on warehouses on how many tanks. But I also
have
see
my
him
own
doing a lot of ponds. Like I really hope he goes crazy and sets up some really cool vat systems because he did the outdoor ponds during the winter up there, and who knows what he can do not having to have to cover and heat the ponds during the winter. So I'm excited for what he can do outside, not what's coming in the house. So.
Right.
But definitely happy that he's down here because it'll be fun to be able to take a trip down South Florida, maybe a little detour to his house to figure out
Kayaking.
what he's been updated and stuff like that because I can only catch so much of his live streams and videos.
Mm-hmm. Asking more water than house. Feels like it at this point. I feel like I'm always constantly stepping in water, especially this one doing the water changes. Most of the water goes on the floor for some reason.
I don't try to not like you try, and then you just get upset with every drop that hits the water. And when you don't try and the water just hits the floor, you're like, yeah, we're mopping tomorrow anyways.
And Jamie said, but you don't have to worry about fire with that much water. Electrical fires and water don't mix. We've had a light one time that started smoking a little bit, and you can't see it because electrical fires are they're scary. They don't like burst, and you don't see flames. You just kind of start smelling the smoke. And I told him, I was like, something don't smell right. He's like, what? I didn't smell anything. I wonder why. And I'm like, I really think there's something wrong. And it took me forever. And I finally found it. And it was one of the oldest halogen lights that we had. And the wires were going bad. So it was.
At the same time, though, I think I get where you're going. Like if there was a fire and one of the tank stands fell over, it probably put the fire out. But
not electrical. You have to have a certain chemical reaction
I'd be
to
fighting
take that
the
out.
firemen over trying to save the shrimp. Pouring them into the pool, tank after tank.
Have you ever thought about getting crayfish or the Mexican dwarf crayfish? We have them.
We actually, one of our buddies sent us some, gave Shelby a bunch of treats for her isopods and hooked me up with a couple of the blues. And then Eddie got the orange. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping Eddie can get his going. We actually had some of the babies. He sent us a buried one, and some of the babies are actually growing up. So they're one of the things I want to try out in the pools, ponds outside, is the dwarf crayfish. So that should be fun.
Oh, see, even Papa, extra water doesn't help fire control. Been there, done that.
Yeah, sadly.
Terrible.
Hate to learn firsthand experience.
Thank you, Lewis.
Oh, thank you, man. By the way, I have not forgot about you. I even told Shelby today, like, we need to catch your shrimp. But I was not head to toe in turtle water today, but I was in the pond for a majority of the day today.
All right, so
we're gonna have to catch up. Maybe
skip a few. I had a dealer like 15 years ago, and he had a 6 or 7 foot American alligator on a thick chain in his living room. That's sort of like a caiman. Oh, that's crazy. That person definitely has problems. That's pretty cool, though. I would probably be in heaven. I would act like it's a puppy dog. Born and raised in Florida, so alligators don't scare me. They look like little dogs to me.
I'm definitely not as afraid of alligators as I was. I feel like if we met the right people in the right situation, I'd definitely walk into like one of the alligator enclosures now and try to sit on one.
Paul said hi.
How's it going, Paul?
What shrimp are you bringing to Aquaticon?
Neos and some Tangerine Tigers, but a lot of Neos. Blues, some red, some orange, some green, lots of yellow and blue, though.
Thank you so much, Alex.
Oh, thank you, Alex.
Sorry, I was blocking it from him. Couldn't see. My wife made me a 5-gallon bucket throne, cushions with fancy fabric. You gotta send us a picture of that.
Is it on a rolling wheels?
Did she call you the king when she gives it to you? Sit on your throne, king. That's great.
Thank you again, Lewis. Killing it, man. Making me feel guilty not packing up your shrimp and bringing it your way. But I will get you the
Yeah, how dare
snails,
you.
though, man. We'll take care of that. That's why I waited, though, is because I want to catch all the snails at one time. Get you some snails and then a few snail packs for Aquaticon.
And he said he did a video on them 5 years ago. And he missed the chance to buy them.
Oh, so it was your
The
video
shrimp,
for the
yeah.
ninja shrimp. I swear it was you.
Open top tank is bad for the tank.
So evaporation is going to cause your parameters to creep up with your TDS and your GH. What happens is the H2O molecules can evaporate and go up into the air, but your minerals are left behind. So if you're topping off with water with minerals in it, what happens is you're stacking minerals on top of minerals, and your TDS is going to go up. If you're adding RO water and keeping your minerals in balance, there's not going to be an issue. But the way to solve that is just have a lid on the tank. Then there will be no evaporation. There will be no exchange of H2O molecules where the mineral content gets left behind. It's kind of like the Great Lakes where they're salty. It's because there's no way for the water to be swapped out with the minerals. All the minerals get left behind in the big bodies of water. So,
will dosing shrimp safe fertilizer reduce Karadina reproduction rate?
So
it could stress them out.
Here's the thing.
Don't make it a long one.
I had a couple tanks where we were dosing fertilizer, but all of the shrimp were Yellow King Kong's tank tie, very, very hardy shrimp. And it seemed like the tanks that were getting fertilizer, the shrimp were growing and breeding a little bit quicker. But at the same time, you're walking like this very thin line. Like if you go too far on the fertilizer and not enough water changes, you're going to end up with algae issues. And then algae issues could cause issues with breeding. So you want to make sure that you're doing just enough that you're not creating more issues, and you shouldn't have any issues with reproduction rate. But I do recommend, if you're going for breeding shrimp, no fertilizers.
How many tanks do you guys have?
Ooh, I don't know if I want to answer this because on like Instagram or something, I might save this as one of the questions, but maybe we'll change it up. So we currently have 287 tanks with running water in them. So the tank for Instagram might be a little different. The tank question.
I don't know what REM's.
Ramshorn snails.
I'm trying to see if it's like an acronym for something. Snails. Are they bad for the tank? Is too much in the tank?
So I love snails. Personally, it's one of those things where when I first got into the hobby, I hated them. I did whatever I could to get rid of them, but now I've just accepted them. They are great. The snail slime is a great food source for baby shrimp and stuff like that. If you have too many of the snails in the tank, chances are you're overfeeding. Just reduce on the amount of food that you're feeding, and those should go down. The other thing is your shrimp will also eat some of your snails too. So if they're dying off because they don't have enough food and stuff, your shrimp should be eating them, so there isn't like that huge spike in ammonia issues or anything like that. So Malaysian trumpet snails are my favorite, but ram's horns are also cool. And I'd prefer not to have pond snails, but if they're in the tank, whatever.
Alex said, Shelby, you're amazing. My wife would have murdered me. She's mad at the 30 tanks I have, 2 in the living room and only 1 room full of them. If we had a separate bedroom, that would actually be pretty cool, but we're just like living in a tank. Thank you. I appreciate that. I think we're both a little crazy. So I enjoy having the tanks a lot. I get to do what I like to do. I love fish, so the tanks that are in the middle of the living room are going to be some of my fish tanks finally. I think it's all about how someone enjoys it. You know, we're lucky we're 2 people met a long time ago and kind of grown on each other, and we kind of just support each other in what we want to do, whether it sounds crazy or not. Just kind of support. That's all you can do.
And I was telling her earlier, it's kind of hard to walk through Petco and not buy something when you got both of the people that are like, I kind of want that. So then you got somebody like staring at something for an extended amount of time, and then you're like, what's she looking at? You go over there and you're like, I can see where that's going.
It's like those crazy
and then you
people.
got nobody there to tell you no, though. That's the problem. So next thing you know, we've got 15 tanks that are all like brand new with no plan. It was a good deal.
It's a good deal. And it's like those crazy people that have like 7 dogs together. It's because they both enjoy those dogs. So
This is a horrible idea.
No, that's gotta come back up. Let Grant have the tanks if he does the laundry. That sounds like a great plan. I wish just a little bit. I mean, even splitting it, you know. Good idea, Max. Best comment.
I do the laundry. I put the clothes on and I take them off. That's half the work.
Takes them off on the floor next to the basket, like any typical meme of a husband not doing the right thing. Grant puts it right next to the basket.
I take my socks off when I get into bed. I don't like dirty feet in the bed.
All right. Cool. I've had the same shallow neo substrate for 15 years. It's inert. Just vacuum a couple times a year. As long as it's not breaking down, there's no reason to replace it. There's no issues.
Yeah. The only reason like you would replace inert substrate is like if you're aquascaping and you wanted the like white substrate to look like fresh and brand new, then you siphon it off the top and you put in a brand new one on top. That'd be the only reason why.
Alan wants you to let him know when you have some for sale. I'd like to get some.
What is he talking about?
You got to write that down because we already forgot. You're gonna have to message him. He forgot already.
I'm sorry. Happy birthday, though, man. I hope you had a good birthday.
The raccoons mixed with the yellow shrimp, I think. If we're going to have
when
babies.
You have some for sale.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I got it now. And Shelby's going to sing you happy birthday.
We don't want to lose the people watching. Alex said, I've never seen someone with a true blue line of CPOs. You should straighten out the line if possible. So many grow out of their color, or only like one third are bright blue.
So I actually have had a good conversation about this with the great Chris Lukoff. And he says pH has a lot to do with it. The lower pH, the better. And then the other thing is they need like carrots in their diet. I don't know how they're eating carrots in the wild, but he says if you feed them carrots, that they'll turn blue. So
are you talking about the crayfish?
Yeah.
Oh.
So that is from the crayfish. I mean, he's the shrimp king, but I call him the crayfish king too. So that is from the man himself. And I have yet to even like get ours going to the point where I really like keep an eye on them. The coolest thing in that tank right now is Shelby's female beta, a wild alien beta. So that kind of gets all my attention. But when I do feed shrimp food, I throw a couple pieces into the crayfish tank, and they're there. They're like a light blue, but definitely want to experiment when I can get 2 colonies. I want to feed one of them carrots and one of them not carrots and see how they do. And then I also like to do maybe another colony where I keep them in low pH and feed a little carrot too.
This person said their business partner had a caiman in the warehouse my dad shared with him. That's pretty cool.
I also want caiman lizards too. So we'll probably get those before we get a caiman alligator. But
we'll probably get the caiman skink before that.
Oh, yeah.
You really got to have one. Hello, Gina. Said that really loud. All right. We caught up.
Yeah.
It only took us 2 hours to catch up.
It's 2 hours into it. So thank you guys for watching. We actually have more people watching currently right now than we've had on our previous streams. So, join us every Monday night, 9:00 Eastern Time, PM. And you can join us on Wednesday. Most likely at 10 p.m. We will be with Chance and Brian talking about algae issues and aquascape tanks, and even, shrimp tanks and stuff like that. We'll also go through and tips, tricks, preventions, and, that should be a great one. Tune in for that. And as always, thanks for watching. And until next time.
Have a good night.
Bye, guys.